Hi students, this week we are going to be learning more about global weather patterns. So we had a little bit of this in the very first lesson when we were looking at the different ocean current patterns and how that relates to the global winds. So now we're going to go back and look at how the ocean currents and those wind patterns come together to create different types of climate and different types of weather. So when you get here, I always recommend that you download your guided notes or you use the Google Doc that was sent to you by your instructor. These are going to be helpful for when you have the module exam so that you'll have some reference points. So you're going to first learn about the properties of air and how they're going to influence weather. So in the first lesson in our module, we learned that differences in air pressure create wind. So you're going to learn more about wind here and how it's created. You're also going to learn about something called air masses. So air masses are just a body of air that form and they help meteorologists predict weather patterns. So you're going to have a continental air mass, which forms over land, and they're usually drier bodies of air. And then you're also going to have maritime air masses, which form over the water, and they're going to be more moist. So in order for meteorologists to predict the weather and give you more information, they have to be able to measure it. So the first tool that's used is something called a barometer, and this will measure air pressure. And this again is very important because changes in air pressure means that we're going to have more wind. And then we can also measure wind itself, or most likely wind speed, by something called an anemometer. Another thing that we can use to measure weather patterns is a thermometer, and that's going to be used to measure temperature. And again, temperature is going to be the average amount of kinetic energy that is in an object. So a thermometer actually measures the speed of those molecules, the kinetic energy of those molecules. And finally, we're able to measure precipitation with a rain gauge. But also some other times, rain gauges don't work great with hail or snow. So sometimes we have to collect that and measure it to figure out how much precipitation has occurred. So there are different types of weather patterns that help predict weather and help create weather. You guys will remember in the first lesson, we learned about something called jet streams. And if you recall, meteorologists like to look for jet streams because a lot of times storms will follow them. So we have something called polar jet streams and also subtropical jet streams. So the polar ones are obviously going to be near the North and the South Pole, and they're going to be bringing more cool air. Where on the other side, subtropical jet streams are very near the equator, just below and above, and they're going to bring warm air and sometimes even very severe storms. So we also have wind, and wind really helps move around clouds, so we're able to kind of blame wind for the rain or the weather. So the first type of wind we have is something called prevailing winds, and they typically blow in one direction and they move those air masses around. Remember, they were continental and maritime. There are also seasonal winds, and these winds can be affected by large-scale weather patterns. So one type of seasonal wind is something called a monsoon. And these winds, which change direction depending on the season, can cause a big change in temperature and rainfall in these areas. So a lot of times you guys will hear about monsoons in the Asian part of the globe. So if you guys have ever lived in Korea or Japan, you might have experienced monsoon season. And finally, we're circling back to these ocean currents again. So ocean currents play a huge role when it comes to weather. So they're able to, and climate as well. But for weather, we are able to know that the more maritime air masses that are formed and then move towards the continent, that's where we're going to get more precipitation. So one thing I want to draw your attention to is the colors here at the bottom of this picture. And this is going to be important on your module exam. So with these colors, every time you see a red arrow, it's going to signify a red or a warm ocean current. But every time you see a blue arrow, it's going to signify a cold ocean current. So these cold ocean currents are going to be originating from the poles and they're going to flow towards the equator. But then our warm ocean currents are going to form at the equator and they're going to flow towards the poles. And these ocean currents are so important because if an area is receiving a warm ocean current, it's going to make that area warmer. Where if an area is receiving a cold ocean current, it's going to make it cooler. So the reason that this is important is when you guys are taking the module exam, it's going to ask you to compare 2 points on a map, and it's going to ask you if that area is warmer or colder. So let's practice with South America. So over here, if we're looking at the eastern part of South America, it may ask you, is it going to be warmer on the eastern part or the western part of South America? And you guys should be able to say the eastern part because you have access to this graphic with a warm ocean current. Where on the other hand, if it asks you which is colder, the correct answer is going to be the western part because you have access to this cold ocean current. So clouds play a very specific type of role in weather. You're able to see or predict the type of weather that may come based on clouds. And clouds are formed due to part of the water cycle. So when water evaporates from the earth, it will become water vapor and it will start going up into the sky. When enough water vapor collects, it's going to condense and it's going to form a cloud. So let's look at these different types of clouds. So we're going to start with the clouds that are highest in the atmosphere first. So cumulonimbus clouds are shaped like a column and they start at low altitudes and they tower to great heights. Nimbus means rain, so we often get thunderstorms with these types of clouds. And here's a cumulonimbus. Cirrocumulus clouds form at very high altitudes and they resemble wisps of cotton, and they can also indicate that a storm is on the way. Cirrus clouds are thin and wispy. They form at high altitudes and at low temperatures, and they are often made of ice crystals and appear during nice weather. So as you can see, the cirrus and the cirrocumulus clouds are very similar, but this one has more wisps in it. So let's move down a little bit. Next, we have the altostratus clouds, and they are dark gray and medium level clouds, and they'll indicate precipitation. Stratus clouds are flat, gray, low level clouds that tend to cover most of the sky, and they also indicate rain. Altocumulus clouds are small, white, and puffy. They form at mid-levels and can indicate precipitation. Nimbostratus clouds are thickened stratus clouds and they usually bring rain or snow. Notice that we get the nimbo again, which means rain. So we're now going to move to the lowest to earth clouds. So cumulus clouds are big white clouds that look like cotton and they form at low levels. And the short ones indicate nice weather. So a lot of the times when you guys go to draw clouds with something, they're most likely going to resemble cumulus clouds. And finally, we have stratocumulus clouds, which are low, puffy gray clouds, and they form at low levels, and they can also produce rain. When they rise, they have the ability to turn into nimbostratus clouds. So there's a lot of information on this page, students. So if you're getting confused with these clouds, do not worry. We just want you to be informed of them. You're not going to get tested on the clouds. So while they're fun to know for you to go outside, it's not something that you're going to have to be able to retain. So there are also different types of precipitation. You guys know what rain is, but let's look at freezing rain. So when it's cold, rain can fall as liquid, but then it freezes when it touches a cold surface. This is called freezing rain. This can be very dangerous for roads and can cause a lot of the slick roads that can happen. There's also snow, and snow forms when water vapor in a cloud transforms directly into an ice crystal. Snow is made up of single snowflakes that clump together. We also have something called sleet, and when raindrops fall through a layer of air below 0 degrees Celsius, they turn into solid particles of ice. And finally, we have hail. So hail starts as an ice pellet inside a cumulonimbus cloud during a thunderstorm. A new layer of ice forms on the pellet each time they pass through the region. So this is like a convection cycle. Think about those hail particles going around in the cloud again and again and again until it becomes so large that it will cause damage to buildings and vehicles as it falls from the cloud. So these different types of precipitation are very much like the clouds in that they are very interesting for you to know, but it's not something that you're going to be assessed on. So we also have something called fronts that can create different types of weather. So a front is the boundary where masses of different temperature and humidity collide. So if you guys remember, we have those air masses. We looked at continental ones and maritime, but they can also be cold and warm air masses. And when they collide together, again, we get a front. The two major types of fronts are going to be a cold front and a warm front. So cold fronts are just bodies of cold air, and they move along the ground because they are heavier than that warm air. Cold fronts typically arrive quickly and can cause major weather changes like thunderstorms. After a cold front moves through an area, drier and colder air often moves in. On the other hand, warm fronts are bodies of warm air that rise above cold air. If the warm air is humid, it can cause rain. If the warm air is dry, scattered clouds form. So with that humid and dry, think about the difference between continental and maritime masses. Warm fronts move slowly, so it can be rainy or cloudy for several days. And after a warm front passes, the weather tends to be warm and humid. So when you get to the end of the module, I always recommend that you guys open up the Talk Like a Scientist and you make sure that all of these vocabulary words are in your notes. This week, we are going to have an activity, so you can go over and look at the other video for that.